Hi, Brent Haynes with Wood Sound Flutes. Today I want to share with you one of our custom creations, and we will on an ongoing basis doing occasional videos of custom creation flutes, specifically flutes that a client comes to me with a dream, a vision, some sort of idea that they would like to see turned into reality, and we talk that out and help kind of flush out the ideas for the custom creation. And custom creations, of course, could also be flutes that we come up with here in the shop. But my favorite ones are when I get to work with a client and help them take a concept, ideas, and turn that into reality. The flute that I'm holding in my hands is a double flute. It's made from Cametillo rosewood. The tubes of the flutes are Cametillo rosewood. Then it has ebony. We have some silver star inlays in the ebony on the mouthpiece and on the end caps. We've got copper inlays on the top flute, silver inlays on the bottom flute. The mouthpiece is just so outrageous. The client actually came up with this concept and drew this design that we inlaid on the mouthpiece. It's very, very cool. We also have faux ivory, and we have some coral on the flute as well. And so the concept of this flute, it's so fun, you know. Sometimes you start out with an idea. The client knew that he wanted the flute in a double flute, knew he wanted a low E, and we started off with two different woods completely for the two flutes, and worked over this. He actually placed the order, I think in July, might have been June, and then we spent almost 3 months rehashing over different ideas, different concepts to do the flute with, and finally settled on the Cametillo. And what really crystallized the whole concept of the flute was when the client started thinking about the flute in terms of an eclipse. So one flute represents the sun, one flute represents the moon, or the elements of the sun and the moon are in the flutes. And then the actual eclipse. An eclipse is such an interesting phenomena because here we are, if things are not absolutely perfect, you see no eclipse. And from a different vantage point than rather directly in the shadow of the moon to the sun, you don't see the eclipse. So everything has to be just right for this phenomena to take place. And when it does, it is just magnificent. We get this incredible corona on the outside of the moon and the sun that you get that bit of light that comes around from the eclipse. And so this idea of eclipse really settled in. It also is a transformative time. You know, the eclipse kind of represents transformation. I think being in the right frame of mind or in the right place to be able to even observe it. And for this particular client, there was some deep emotional connection with the whole idea of transformation, the eclipse. And so let me go ahead and explain some of the symbology on the flute. So we have the stars, of course, representing the night sky. And then on the top of the mouthpiece, we have an inlay of coral, which represents the sun. On the bottom of the mouthpiece, we have an inlay of the ivory, which represents the moon. And we chose to go with the faux ivory because this particular client does some traveling, and traveling with ivory can be sometimes problematic, even if it is woolly mammoth ivory. And so it just seemed to be a good way to, number one, keep the cost down a little bit, because the woolly mammoth ivory is outrageous. And then even though I do have some repurposed estate ivory, there's just some problems with potentially traveling with that and having some challenges. And the faux ivory turned out gorgeous. It has really beautiful grain in it. It's a resin material. I'm not sure exactly how they make it, but they do a great job of getting grain. There's a beautiful grain in ivory where you get these cross hatch mark lines, and so we definitely wanted that in the raven and in the moon. So so the raven is the white raven, which would then be transforming into the black raven as it brings the sun or the fire to the people to warm them during the cold times. And then on the bottom totem, and I'll show you this better in pictures, but the bottom totem is an element of flame to represent the sun carved out of the coral. And then on the mouthpiece here we've got ebony, and then African blackwood is actually the black on the inside of the eclipse here. So this is an eclipse symbol. We have the copper going around it representing the corona, and then we have the silver representing the moon and the copper representing the sun coming up and around, and all of it wrapping together. It kind of creates a natural yin-yang sort of scenario. Anyways, let me go ahead and play this for you a little bit, and then we're going to talk about double flutes in general, and how you go about playing them, some different things that you can do with them, because they're just an awful lot of fun, but it can be a lot of instrument. The first thing that I want you to notice with our double flute is that double flute rests very, very comfortably and balances perfectly on my thumb using, I call these saddles, the supports between the two flutes, I call saddles. And so this middle saddle here becomes a thumb rest for the flute and makes it very, very easy to be able to hold the instrument and let your fingers do whatever they need to do. The bottom flute is a complete flute in and of itself. It has all 6 holes on it, all 6 plain holes, of course the tuning holes as well. And we cover the plain holes with leather straps so that you can create different droning notes on the bottom flute, or remove enough of the flat straps on the bottom that you can play one hand on the bottom flute, one hand on the top flute, and play it as a double flute. So we'll start off as a drone. Just so soothing, so many interesting different kind of interval harmonies that you can hear within that. One of the other things I want to show you is a really, really fun way to play the flute is to play it as a single flute and then move into a drone or move into the double. And the way the mouthpiece is created, there's 2 separate holes for the mouthpiece. On the right side we have the hole that goes to the top flute. On the left side the hole goes to the bottom flute. And the top flute, you'll be able to see this better in pictures, the top flute mouthpiece actually sticks out just a little bit longer than the bottom flute, and the purpose of that is so that you can play it as a single. And then I can very easily move my mouth so that I can play both flutes at the same time. It makes it very, very simple to be able to accomplish all sorts of different musicalities with it. So, man, the flute is so beautiful. And, you know, one of the things that we've put a lot of effort in on this instrument. This particular client is the gentleman that actually developed the new Wood Sounds logo, And he also developed the video, the outro video that you're going to see at the end of this video. It flashes through a whole bunch of different wood sound flutes, and says wood sounds where dreams can be made real. And I just love it. It's really fabulous work that he's done for me there, and very pleased to have that. But anyways, so as we worked on this flute, I have some Zeracody wood that came about through a trade with a gentleman who was getting a flute for a friend of his who was a Vietnam vet and was dealing with some tough times, and just he felt that the flute would give his friend something that he could do that would lift his spirits and help him deal with PTSD. And it's so interesting. The next custom creation video that we'll be doing, it's a Vietnam commemorative flute for another client who served 2 tours in Vietnam, and so the flute has painted on it his service ribbons. It has this scene with these helicopters coming in over an island with a home on it and a boat out in front. Just very quintessential Vietnam sorts of imagery from that time. And then it also has the MIA badge on it, the Missing in Action badge, and leave no one behind. It has his dog tags painted on it, and a number of other images, some barbed wire, and then a Purple Heart ribbon is painted on it. And very, very cool flute. Can't wait to show it to you. But we have a number of vets. I personally have a number of clients that are vets, and they have found that the native flute has been very, very positive impact for their service, or for dealing with their service and some of the PTSD and other challenges that come about from doing those really hard things that give all of us the opportunity for peace and stability in our world. And so, anyways, he traded with me some wood. This gentleman traded. He used to be in the wood business and had some personal wood that he had set aside. Some of it was pink ivory, which we've used on some of the Hope No One Fights Alone flute. And the wood he sent me is spectacular. It's so awesome. Brent Adams recently got an olive wood flute. It's this really incredible curly, tight grained olive wood, and it's got this really tight curl in it that is just so spectacular. And that wood came from this particular gentleman. So one of the boards that he sent me is a board of Zeracody. Now, Zeracody's a fruit wood from Mexico, from the Yucatan Peninsula area, and it is just outrageous looking. Really outrageous looking. It has this incredible landscapey grain patterns to it. It's kind of a dark green with dark black lines through it, and the black lines and the green, they create these images in the wood quite often of like a vista scene, with mountains and valleys and whatnot. We call it landscape grain pattern. And so it's got this gorgeous landscape grain pattern that's kind of dark, like maybe looking at a landscape during an eclipse. And so we're going to take that Zeracody wood. We've got one board of it. I haven't counted exactly how many flutes we'll be able to get out of it, but at least 10, maybe 15 flutes we'll get out of this wood. And so we're going to make the next flute of the month out of that wood, and it will be called Eclipse. And it will be somewhat based on this particular instrument. There's just many elements of this that I've really fallen in love with. I really love this banding of the copper and the silver together, and I love the stars on the ebony. I love the sun and moon inlays, and so we haven't finished designing that flute out yet completely, but it will be an Eclipse flute, and we'll talk an awful lot more at that time about the stories of Eclipse and the kinds of things that in symbology people can find within these natural phenomena that really feel supernatural. These eclipse sorts of experiences can feel completely supernatural. But anyways, let me go ahead and play it again. As I was talking, I slid back the bottom 3 leather straps so that we've exposed the bottom 3 holes on the bottom flute, and now the top flute has all 3 holes. So I'm going to move one hand to the bottom flute, one hand to the top flute, and we'll see where we go. Awesome. Just so fun. It's one of those sorts of sounds that when you start playing it, it just seeps into every part of your body, and the harmonies and the moving harmonies within the sound has an incredible effect on me as I play. At any rate, it makes me get lost in the sound of the wood and the sound of the flutes and the instruments, and I love that. That's one of the things I absolutely love about the native flute. But the double flutes in particular, and great big bass flutes in particular, tend to really draw you into that deep meditative space where you just totally get lost in the sound. So hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in the custom creation, would love to help you out, would love to work with you on it. You can reach me. My contact information will be in the outro video, and you can reach me through that contact information or email, whatever's convenient for you. I hope to look forward to talking to you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Again, Brent Haynes with Wood Sound Flutes. Whether you're dreaming of your first native flute or wanting to create some custom instrument, Wood Sounds is where your dreams can be made real. My name is Brent Haynes, and you can reach me at 801-822-1415 or brent@woodsounds.com. Have a great day.